Welcome back to Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, Penelo casting Haste. I've got a big assortment of buffs on the whole party, because we're going to be taking on the big boss of the Necrol of Nabudis this time, Chaos, and I'm actually setting up some custom gambits specifically for this fight, because Chaos is very, very unique. Firstly, he is a wind elemental Esper, and he nullifies every other element besides Earth, which he's weak to, and Wind, which he absorbs, including Holy and Dark. So, I'm actually setting up Ash to focus on non-elemental magic here, because there's no Earth elemental, damaging spells. Now, you might be wondering, oh, I can just use Earth elemental physical attacks, right? Well, not really. Chaos is an interesting fight because the gimmick is the reverse of Zeromus. The attack command is sealed. Now, this doesn't mean all physical attacks are banned, only the actual attack command. So, techniques that do physical damage, like Soul Eater and I believe also Telekinesis, will work. You just can't use the attack command. This means do not berserk anybody because then they'll be useless. So, Soul Eater, I was actually kind of wrong about how Soul Eater worked. Soul Eater is actually based on the recurring Dark Knight ability that's been seen in Final Fantasy ever since Final Fantasy IV. Well, the Japanese version, because they removed it from the English version of the original for some reason, but you get the idea. Soul Eater does damage that is slightly higher than the damage of a normal attack. It's based on your weapon's power, but it uses its own formula, so it doesn't use any other properties of your weapon. So therefore, your weapon's elements will not take effect. So this means that equipping Earth element weapons won't really do anything here. Because I think the only, the physical techniques will not use their elements in their damage. And because of this, do not use Soul Eater with guns. You will do terrible, terrible damage. But Soul Eater with a sword should be pretty decent. Like, again, when you're using Soul Eater, you want to make sure that you're using the strongest weapon that you have, regardless of, its element or anything else. Because the only thing that matters is your weapon's attack power. That's the only thing that is taken into effect in the damage formula for Soul Eater. Soul Eater also damages yourself, but, I can mitigate that a little bit by having Penelo and, Ash heal. The reason I'm having Ash focus on Scourge until Chaos goes below 50% is that Chaos is vulnerable to Sap. The chances of Sap going off are very low, but it's still a possibility, and I actually may as well equip the, Sage's Ring here. Oh, speaking of equipment, anybody who can use the Windbreaker, if you still have any, should equip that because it makes you immune to wind. I don't know if we still have Windbreakers. I might have actually sold my Windbreakers, that's not good. But I think that's enough. I'm going to go in with this party. I'm not sure if this will actually work, but I also have Bolthir on standby to summon Hushmal, who is this guy's weakness. So let's open the door of despair with the Medallion of Mites, which we can use now that we've proved said might. I've been looking forward to this fight for a while, but I don't really remember much off the top of my head in terms of how hard it is. But I do like the interesting ways of getting around the limitation of the attack command. Representing the star sign of Taurus, I, Chaos, will knock you all down. Chaos is based on the big bad of Final Fantasy I. And, oh, I forgot he had a bunch of, minions. So yeah, Chaos Jets, and they like to, buff and stuff. Okay, I need to clear out those Chaos Jets first. I've got Penelo using Drain because that's non-elemental. Scourge is area. Oh, did I actually just get Sap on Chaos first try? I can't use the attack command, though, to check Chaos's, this is annoying. I usually use attack to check the enemy's status. But wow, I think I just instantly killed a lot of those, elements, which is pretty cool. Okay, Penelo is gonna go ahead and Dispel, though, because I don't want Chaos buffed at all. Let's just Dispel from Chaos. Yeah, Scourge was way stronger than I expected. Oh, and they can silence you. Although Penelo is Esudering Ash, thankfully. Okay, Scourge is going. And yep, that's got rid of that thing. Is Chaos still sapped? Yeah, he's sapped. He still does have Protect on him, though. Because the Water Jet got that in just before it went down. Yeah, so Scourge isn't really doing a ton. I'm mostly using Scourge just for the, sap effects. In fact, at this point, Ash could probably just switch over to using Scathe. Yeah, even though Scathe's animation looks like a beam, it's actually, oh yeah, I think Chaos's regular attacks can deflect Disable as well, which is a bit of a, an issue. But yeah, what I was saying was, yeah, even though Scathe's animation looks like a beam, it is, it's not actually, its area is still a circle, it's not like a line in front of you. And here is Erosia. How are we going to take that? Oh, and it can confuse. Yeah, it's kind of a common effect in a lot of video games for, like, tornado-based spells to inflict confuse, I guess because you get spun up in the air. Okay, Ash is back up. Penelo should be healing. I'm going to switch over to controlling Ash for now. Whirlwind. I guess that's a basic wind attack, I think. Oh yeah, and I'm using Protector as well, and also Feargo is a thing. Thankfully, Ash still has a lot of MP, and the Sage's Ring. Okay, oh, Ash got disabled, but thankfully Barsh is ready with the Asuna. I love the fact that I gave that to him. I really want to bring Balthier in and try and use Hushmal to bring some. It actually makes perfect sense that Chaos is weak to the Esper called the Bringer of Order. But he's almost down anyway. Yep, there we go. Okay, that was actually way easier than I expected. Seems to be the case for a lot of Espers in this game. He's actually level 57, so we are a bit under-leveled for this. But you are kind of supposed to fight the Espers at lower than their level. And that is Chaos, one of the actually stronger optional Espers in the game, so maybe I am ready to take on the, you know what, I should have only 2 Espers left. The one in the Great Crystal and the one in the Head of Mines. Chaos, Walker of the Wheel. His English title is very metaphorical. In Japanese it's a lot more literal and in my opinion sounds a bit cooler. Chaos, King of Reincarnation. It's a reference to the plot of Final Fantasy I, but to say more on that would be a bit of a spoiler. I don't think we can even go back and report to those Namu that we have, in fact, defeated all 3 of the beasts sealed within the Necrol, but one of them was an Esper Owl and a Megalixir. So I'm going to immediately go and see what Chaos gives to people. Well, Vaan gets nothing out of that, but I want to grab Protector on him anyway. Also, even though, like, it might seem like it would be logical, Shelga is not in here. Shelga is somewhere else. I made sure that I wasn't missing any, well, I am, like, extremely close to completely maxing out this board, but I don't know if I should really do that. I should probably focus on more magic laws for, Bushi. But yeah, I checked like a guide to make sure I wasn't missing any chests in here, like, that contain stuff. There's a chest that contains the Exsanguine Shield, which is the one that has the best block rate in the game, but gives you a bunch of really bad status ailments. And it only has a 3% chance of spawning, though, which is, yeah, not great. Brawler, no, that's much better for Monk than it is for anything else. Balthier gets nothing out of Mechanist. And Knight gives him access to what he's already got access to with the Quickening anyway. So Balthier's not getting Chaos, thankfully, because he already has more than enough Espers. Ultima Blade, okay then. And a bunch of magic laws that I already have. I don't think Penelo even has any espers. Increased HP, and this looks promising. Great sword. Oh, Defender is actually not a bad idea because it gives her an increased block rate, which on a white mage who doesn't really attack anyway, that's actually decent. But what you give black mage doesn't really seem to get anything. And then Ulan, yeah, we already know what Knight gets. Does Ulan get? Okay, Blindgar, Eroga, and Silent Scar for Ulan. Yeah, I have more than enough status ailment spells and others. Like, this just seems kind of weird, but, like, I want to give you to Penelo, honestly. I don't think Penelo had any other espers. I need the Rod of Faith first. Yeah, Penelo actually has Chaos. That's kind of a surprise. I kind of want to spend the rest of this LP later, but oh, you know, while I'm here. There's probably not a lot else to do in this part anyway, so let's just go ahead and spend some more stuff here. Excalibur and increased HP already spent. Van's LP. Fran. Why do I not have that swiftness yet? She definitely needs more accessories. So I'll get some more of those. Barsh on Ulan / Knights. I think he could use some extra Gambit slots. Also, Bolthea needs extra Gambit slots now that he has way more access to magical things. And yeah, that's the shield that we can get in here, but only a 3% spawn rate. There's also a chest with a low spawn rate that contains the another Hermes Sandals, which might be worth going out of your way for, because permanent haste is definitely nice to have. Anything in white mage that you could... Well, I said I wanted to get this last time. You have an access to Bubble Belt is also pretty solid. And anything in Black Mage I can get with, like, leftover points. Ash is very close to maxing out everything on her license boards, I just realized. Okay, yeah, you don't have enough. You should probably save up for that stuff and things like channeling. So yeah, that should be everyone. And since I didn't really get a chance to use that in the last fight... Oh, I'll keep Penelo in case I want to summon Chaos. Oh, Bolthea doesn't... Actually, no, wait, no. I don't even need my three slots, because I'll summon Famfrit later. In fact, I have a pretty good idea of who I want to use Famfrit against. But I want to show Hushmal, because Hushmal has something that I want to discuss. Although, firstly, I probably need to... Although Espers have Libra innately anyway. And if I'm going to be running around here solo with Bolthea, I might as well see if I can equip him with the, He can't even use the wing boots, but can he use the steel pollens? Yes, he can. I'll take that. So, summon Hushmal. This feels like a bit of a waste, but I just want to show what Hushmal can do. So, okay, Hushmal has Kuraja, Graviga, and Roxor and Gaia's Wrath. So, Roxor is the thing that I wanted to talk about here, because you saw him use that a little bit in the main, like, in the fight against him, but then he just died because, you know, I was using a pretty strong party for that. So, Roxor. That attack, its name is a reference to internet slang, and this is kind of one of those things where people might be getting mad about, oh, you know, it's a localization making a meme reference, everything is ruined. And it is definitely something, like, one of those cases where, we see the downsides of this in that it feels very dated now. And it definitely dates this game's localization to the mid-2000s, because, like, nobody really says that kind of thing unironically anymore. So the interesting thing is that in Japanese, like, I was wondering, like, whether its name in Japanese was a lot more serious, and they should have stuck with its Japanese name, but no, its Japanese name was a silly reference as well. Its Japanese name was Rokyu. Yes, a reference to Queen. Apparently one of, like, the creators of Final Fantasy is a big Queen fan, so that actually explains why... Uh-oh, that's not good. You know what? I'm just gonna... Unless Hushmal's, like, super far away from me, I kind of just want to just show what Gaia's Wrath does. Because this is really the main thing I summoned Hushmal for. I just wanted to show Roxor and talk about it. Okay, this looks really cool. The Espers have great looking ultimate attacks. But this is one of those cases where leaving it in Japanese as Rokyu might have actually aged better. Because these days people would still get the Queen reference. Like, it's still a silly reference, but at the same time, like, it actually would be less dated. It actually reminds me of something that, this is going to be a really weird thing to, oh, I need to switch Barsh off of using Soul Eater, though. This reminds me of, like, a very weird thing to be referencing here, but it was something that I heard about, according to TV tropes, on, like, the Jungle Book. So, in the Jungle Book, at the end, like, the Disney film, at the end of the film, there's a group of vultures who, the way they talk, in terms of their accents, they are very, very obviously meant to be a parody of the Beatles. They have, like, Liverpool accents and are really supposed to sound like them, and they're even in a group that, like, sing, and they even kind of, like, look like the Beatles. And then they sing a song, and it's barbershop quartets. And the reason for that, apparently, is that Walt Disney was concerned that the Beatles that having them actually sing a parody of the Beatles song, like one of the Beatles songs, would date the movie, and that the Beatles were a fad, and that it would feel dated, like, later, and he actually thought that Barbershop Quartet would age better. Now, we know from later that the Beatles became so iconic that if they had made that song a Beatles parody, it probably would have aged better to, like, modern audiences. Or at least, I don't know, maybe in my opinion, maybe you guys don't think so, it kind of depends, it's very your mileage may vary on that, but a lot of people do think that, you know, especially, again, the fact that, like, the characters were very obviously meant to be a parody of the Beatles, and so it just feels a bit weird that they don't sing like the Beatles do. And I feel like that's the case, like, with this. It's always a risk when you're doing pop culture references in something. You don't know what's going to end up dated and what isn't going to be. Like, it's kind of the case with one of the meme references in Fire Emblem Awakening. Like, everyone says that Fates has meme... Like, I could not find any meme references in Fates, but Awakening has several, and one of them I think that is definitely a case of really heavily dating the game is... one reference in Laurent and, Severa, I think's S support. I might be one of the few people who knows about this, because I'm probably one of the few people who actually ships them. But in their S support, they make a reference to, like, what it had got in its pocket. Like, the first Hobbit film was relatively new at the time Awakening came out, and, yeah, they didn't really realize at the time that the Hobbit movies would have had very mixed and negative critical reception as time went by, and that reference would probably not be seen as that, like... I mean, I suppose if it's a reference to the actual Hobbit book, then maybe it might be aging better, but... It feels like it's more meant to be referencing the movie's wording of that line, and that definitely does feel like something that just didn't, like, catch on as a meme very much after the movie sort of, like... Well, I mean, the first Hobbit film didn't really flop, but the rest of the films were disliked, and then people just lost interest in the whole thing pretty quickly. So, like, you get the idea. It's often hard, like, you have to predict whether or not your reference is going to end up dated or not, and in this case, the prediction failed, because Roxor definitely aged badly and feels dated now, whereas, like, keeping it as Rokyu might have, like, it's silly, it's really silly, but it probably would have aged better. And it would have kept that reference to Queen that comes from, like, one of the Final Fantasy producers in Japan being a fan of the band. So, that's just the thing of, you know, localizers doing meme references, but at the same time, there are some that actually do age decently well. Like, I feel like a lot of the pop culture jokes in Phoenix Wright have aged decently well, and are still quite funny even now. Honestly, I actually think the best pop culture jokes are the ones that are still funny, even if you don't get the reference. And so with that, we can go back to Nabudis Fortress to turn in those 2 hunts. Now I feel like I should summon Chaos against something. But I'll also say that at the same time, though, I am not the kind of person to believe that putting a meme reference or a dated pop culture reference in a game instantly ruins the entire localization and translation. Because I hate it when people do that. They think that the whole thing is ruined just because one joke was dated. Like, newsflash, everything is gonna be dated eventually. Like, you look at, sitcoms that were released, like, in the West, like, that were in English, that were never localized to begin with. And so many of those jokes are incredibly dated now. Everything gets dated. So yeah. And also people think that, adding meme references is something that's exclusive to localizations. Like, Japan references memes all the time. If I do Persona 5 on this channel, then I'm going to, definitely mention there are a lot of references to Japanese memes in that game, and like Japanese political memes especially. Many that will go over the heads of a lot of Westerners. Soul of Thamasa. Don't think that's needed for like that really good thing, but there's one more, and is this going to complete the Jovi quest? It might actually. You're out of that corner now, you're a little bit easier to see. Barong just makes me think there should be another bunga called Rungda. Oh yes, it is going to make a pretty fun story, because we didn't realize it was immune to magic for a while. And also the fact that we summoned, we summoned an Esper on it, and then it, nullified it, but then its barrier fell, and then the Esper turned the tide. It's also been added to our bestiary. Oh, another Save the Queen. Well, I guess we could give that to Barsh if we want him to be using a strong greatsword, although he already has the Ultima Blade. So, yeah, Jovi has a lot more, I don't know how to say it, like pep in his step, I guess, now. Yeah, that should be it. So after you've finished all of the hunts in Nabudis Fortress, we finally get some closure on why Jovi was acting the way he did. Jovi's original hero was Rex. See, that's a really nice side quest overall. I love the fact that we actually get someone who admired Rex, and we get to just sort of brighten up his life a bit and give him someone else to look up to, who, fittingly, is the younger brother of the one he used to admire. So, we've defeated Chaos, we've reported all of those hunts. I think that one new hunt may have opened up to us on the board. Oh! I thought that would be Behemoth King. Okay, I actually haven't even heard of that one. Balvenheim Port. I'm going to look up how strong that is, because if it's strong enough for me to handle, I might actually take it on in this part, because now we've got some time. Okay, it's level 63. I might be able to take it. We'll see. It is weak to fire, and it's immune to oil. Ugh. The petitioner for this hunt is Riken over here. Definitely not quite as, well, wimpy as the Riken from Fire Emblem Awakening, who for some reason has a lot of physical classes. Wait, is it you or is it you? You know what? I'm pretty sure it's you. There we go. Wait, what? No, this isn't the... This is what I wanted to do. Oh, okay then. You have to do one of these foot race minigames in order to... Yeah, I'll explain the foot race minigame later when I cover it in full, but it seems like you have to actually do that before you get the prompt for the hunt. Well, I mean, we've already felled a lot of terrible beasts of legend, including some literal beings of legend in the form of the Espers. Yes, I'll fight your monster. That makes me think of that weird Beowulf adaptation. So, Pile Raster. Apparently in Japanese, this thing's name is probably supposed to be Pile Ruster, but that doesn't sound particularly good as a monster name. Like, as in, something that makes piles rust. I don't know, but anyway. Now, he says he has no idea where to find this thing, but if we go into our hunt menu... Aha! It's actually proved me wrong. Even the hunt menu has no idea where to find this thing. So I think a big part of this quest is supposed to be finding it. However, I already know where it is due to the magic of guides. It is actually very close to the warp point at the Pharos. There are going to be more hunts in the Pharos later, and those ones are pretty brutal. In fact, I never even finished them on my first playthrough. But all we need to do to find this one is just to head straight outside. It should be right where the Hydro used to be. Yep, there it is, walking around. So, while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and buff up, but I have set Fran on her buff setup to not use Shell. And there's a reason for that. I am also going to turn off Fran's specifically targeted healing gambits, as well as Bolthea's. So I have Bolthea equipped with Wormfire Shot and Fran equipped with the Burning Bow and Fiery Arrows, which do get the buff from the Burning Bow, which is kind of cool. And also setting her to use Ardor because this thing is weak to fire. It's not vulnerable to oil though. Now, this thing doesn't have Ignore Evade, so a Shikari dodge tank setup can work. But I have a better idea. For the first time, I actually want to try out the Decoy reverse strategy. So, Barsh is going to be my reverse dummy here. And for this, I may as well equip Fran with the Indigo Pendant, which actually buffs her speed a little bit. So, Barsh now has Lure status. And yeah, you might notice that reverse targets enemies by default. It's supposed to shut down enemy healing, but really, it's better used on your party, because if an enemy doesn't have healing, a party member with reverse... Please tell me I can stop that. Because yeah, it seems like reverse is classed as a negative status ailment, so, let's try that again with Barsh's Esuna Gambit off, because yeah, reverse gets classified as a negative status ailment, even though in practice it really isn't. Because as I was saying, if somebody has reverse status and the enemy doesn't have healing, they are totally invincible. Yeah, because the enemy's attacks will just heal you. Damaging heals and heal damages.
It cannot end us.
Okay then, I'm guessing reverse wore off? And that means I need to very quickly, set Decoy back up, because this thing does have area attacks. Yeah, this whole thing can be a little tricky to get set up. In fact... I might, in fact, have Bolthea... There is a long cooldown after using items, but I might have Bolthea use a reverse mode on Barsh. Oh, actually, hang on a minute. Reverse with regen is bad, because that means Barsh is going to be taking constant damage. Oh yes, and this thing has drawing threat double its level, so there's that. Have to keep an eye on reverse status and make sure that it doesn't end. In fact, on that note, can Fran just go ahead and reapply it when she wants to? Is that going to reset the timer at all? Oh, well, they both just kind of died. That's not good. Yeah, this thing is incredibly strong, so that's why the reverse strategy is pretty useful here. Reverse or dodge tanking. You don't want this thing to, like, actually hit you. And I need to change Ash's Gambit setup off of, using non-elemental skills. I just realized I've still got her Chaos Gambit setup going.
I must be strong.
Are you serious? Not a single mischarge. Well, this is definitely not going to kill it, and that means that we are actually at major risk of a game over unless we can revive people very, very fast. Just torrent. That actually did quite a lot, but, yeah, the enemy health bars on the field are deceptively large at low health thresholds. Don't even know if Arise will even go off fast enough. Can Varn Phoenix down fast enough? Okay, Scathe actually did quite a lot of damage there. I don't want Ash to use the next Phoenix down because she kind of needs to get damage in. Okay, they're both back, so it's just Barsh. Can Penelo very quickly Curaga Ash, maybe?
I can't.
Not if she goes down like that.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we have people with Espers. Espers and or Quickenings. Ugh, just not fast enough. Just came a little too late.
Here she comes.
Oh, that's really bad. Volthea should not be using Faith. Just attack, maybe? Also, why is Varn using high potions? Oh, right, because he's on the... Okay, that's... Yeah, that's bad. He should go back to that Gambit setup. Okay, well, Ardor went off. Oh, it's exceedingly close to dying. Don't know why I said exceedingly. That's kind of a weird way to put it. Barsh is like the only one left, and it's just... Well, not quite, but... Oh my, it's like, got like a... Somebody just needs to tickle it. Varn, come on. Come on, Varn, hit it, please. Oh, his sword is just in the midst of swinging. That definitely didn't do enough. This would be like the absolute worst way to fail this. Oh, this had better finish it off. It was a level 1, 2, and 3 from Barsh, and... Okay, that was ridiculously close. I mean, I suppose having the closest hunt we've ever had might... I don't know, maybe a good way to cap off what's gonna be the last part before I go to the end of the main story. It's weird that other area is eerily silent, though. Now, please tell me we don't have to do another foot race before we're allowed to report the fight. There we go, okay, good. So, yeah, at first I thought, oh, come on, why are you really just sending us off to some random hunt to prove we're the strongest? But no, I'm with you, that was insane. Yeah, we'll do that later. No time for foot races now. Can't even use the Grand Mace yet. Okay, nothing new on the hunt board yet. So I don't know when Behemoth King becomes available then. I'm not going to be doing Behemoth King before the post-game anyway, because it's level 70. And perhaps fittingly, I want to end things in Rabanastre. Why? Because Mont Blanc should have a few rewards for us for defeating the Necrol of Nabudis bosses. That's water under the bridge. Well, I mean, you know, we're in harm's way anyway. That guy was looking for Bolfir, and this way no other hunters got hurt. Oh, okay, Hydro. I'm guessing they're a group of people who, used to live there. And nothing new, with the others. However, we have the Ancient Man of Mystery, Ixion, and the Seer are both in the Pharos. The Seer in particular is as you can see there, it's a special one. So, we'll be taking on those hunts in the post-game, and them plus this one, which is considered the hardest vanilla hunt in the game, will pretty much complete the hunts list, except for Hunt 45, which is the infamous super boss with 50 million HP, that yes, I do plan on fighting in the post-game at some points. But it's thankfully way less annoying in this version due to the speed up button and the removal of the damage cap. So, with all of that out of the way, the only thing left to do is to head out to the final battle of the main story. So, next time we'll be going to Bahamut. Suppose I'll end things on this bridge where we kind of first got introduced to Varn and Penelo. See you all next time when, hopefully, we finally free Dalmasca at last.